What would another monster game mean for the Prince?
If he has another monster game and they get to 12-4 with a Titans game in week 18 on deck, they're going to be a 13-win team. He is going to have had Pro Bowl caliber numbers, even though he didn't make it, because his numbers and Justin Herbert's are basically identical. And I think that if he and Justin Herbert's numbers are identical right now, and Herbert has the Texans and Broncos left, and he has Colts, Titans, we're saying if he has a monster game, then he'll really outstrip them there. I think that, and this has not actually been a team in years past that has done anything. The late charging team that, nobody wants to play, like the Browns a couple years ago were that team. But I think that's who the Jags will be. I think a lot of shows on Monday will say, you know who I could see coming out of the AFC? The Jacksonville Jaguars. And by the way, I think that'll be legitimate. I think that I understand I might be the wrong messenger on this because I've always, even when there's not been a lot of evidence to back it up, I've believed in the Prince's talent. But he does all of a sudden bring a lot of experience to play come in these playoffs. So, not just that he's been to the playoffs for, but that he's got 80-some starts under his belt. He's dealt with real adversity and real success. And if he is playing his best ball when you know what the raw talent is, plus Etienne playing the best of his career, and Liam Cohen, I think, really feeling himself, I think that's a dangerous team.
Well, I think they're dangerous. Even if they lose this game, which I predicted, I think they're dangerous in these playoffs. That said, a great game by the Prince. Look, I don't think most people, including myself, will ever fully be like, okay, he's arrived until he does it. I'm not saying they have to get to the Super Bowl, but till he,
has
plays
a full
well
year
in the playoffs. If he ends the season strong and plays well in a game or two in the playoffs and they lose, then I'll believe, okay, next year he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But if he doesn't, if he struggles, like these last 4 games, we know he's been great. 14 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers, I believe.
Yep.
But the 3 games before that,
he was really struggling.
He threw 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And we've seen him, as you've reminded us, that was second year, he was 7th in MVP voting. So he won a playoff game, played well, and then fell off again. So I think we are still in that stage of prove it.
I agree with that.
And so another game would just be building more towards us really.
He has a
All right, everyone, let's get one thing straight. We are past the point of needing to justify this squad. They are an excellent football team. They are well coached. They are well prepared. On offense, on defense, they have arrived. It doesn't hinge on this single game, nor does it depend on whether Trevor Lawrence throws a pick. This team is here, and they are unequivocally capable of emerging from the AFC. Will they? I have no clue. I've stated this repeatedly whenever playoff predictions come up. I've said it about every single contender, and I feel it to my core. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep emphasizing it. At this stage, I genuinely believe any team can either reach the Super Bowl or bow out in the first round. I truly mean that. That's precisely why I resist the narrative that a first-round exit proves a team was overhyped or fundamentally flawed. Not this season. This year is chaotic. It's utterly unpredictable. But if we're examining this through the specific lens of Trevor Lawrence himself, what does another spectacular performance from him signify? In many ways, not much at this juncture. I agree. Trevor's career trajectory has been erratic, zigzagging over the years. We can list the explanations: coaching changes, injuries, and so on. But those justifications are becoming less relevant now. The critical question is, what do you do from this moment forward? Another huge game is impressive, but it ultimately circles back to a more fundamental inquiry. Can you sustain consistent excellence? Can you deliver at an elite level when the playoffs arrive? Obviously, if you win a Super Bowl, the conversation ends. But what if you have a phenomenal game, finish the season strong over the final 2 weeks, then lose in the first round while playing reasonably well? Not a catastrophe, no 5-interception meltdown, just a solid performance in a loss? You won't be afforded the same generous benefit of the doubt that, for instance, Justin Herbert has received at times. Whether that's fair or not is irrelevant. I'm simply describing the prevailing perception and the nature of public discourse. It ultimately boils down to this. What do you do next? If you fall short in the postseason and the following season rolls around, the offseason chatter will likely be, let's see if they can build on last year's momentum. Trevor was finishing strong. With another full offseason under Liam Cohen, year 2 in this system, key players returning healthy, plus that new draft pick and free agent acquisition, it's on them and Trevor to take the next step. It becomes a prove-it continuation. Again, I'm not endorsing this viewpoint as correct, but it will edge closer to the scrutiny applied to a player like Sam Darnold. You were great for 1 year in Minnesota. What about now in Seattle? Once Darnold started performing again, opinions shifted. However, people will likely be more receptive to Trevor because he has a playoff victory on his resume and success beyond just one standout year with Liam Cohen. Furthermore, there's a collective desire for Trevor to succeed, for that #1 overall pick to fully realize his potential in a way that differs from Sam Darnold, who was quickly labeled a bust. Trevor's narrative is more complex, layered, and frankly, fascinating. It's also a bit messier, especially playing in Jacksonville, where the discourse can be binary. If you're great, you're talked about. If you're bad, you're talked about. Nuance is often absent. There's no need for intricate analysis. It's a similar dynamic to Miami with Tua Tagovailoa. When they're soaring, it's euphoria. When they're struggling, the focus simply shifts elsewhere. That's the reality for the Jaguars as well. Thus, for Trevor Lawrence, the perception will largely be short-term and reactionary. What have you done for me lately, in terms of media evaluation of his and the team's status? But regarding the core question, can this team make a serious run? How good are they really? What success can Trevor have moving forward, meaning this postseason, not years down the line? To me, the evidence is already in. It's proven. Of course they can come out of the AFC. Of course they can win the Super Bowl. And again, I feel compelled to ask, am I predicting they will? The stress of that prediction is real, especially as I create these videos, discuss all these teams, and feel the playoffs approaching with everyone asking, who do you got? I have no issue admitting I simply don't know. I have no strong predictions or concrete convictions. And that, as I keep saying, is what excites me. I don't want to know. The unpredictability is what makes this fun. What I am confident about is that the Jaguars belong in the conversation. Look at the other contenders, the Patriots, Broncos, Bills, Rams. Why would you place the Jaguars on a distinctly different tier at this point? What's the concrete justification? The same question applies to those other teams. Any analysis often feels forced, relying on what we haven't yet witnessed. We haven't seen the Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence partnership in the playoffs. We haven't seen this specific iteration of the Jaguars in that crucible. We haven't seen the full playoff impact of players like Travis Etienne or Christian Kirk, and that's a fair point. The only entities among the top contenders with a substantial proven track record are perhaps the Philadelphia Eagles, though they look different this year, not necessarily in a positive way. The Rams with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, where trust is earned, and Josh Allen individually, though trusting the Bills as a whole is its own question. To me, the Jaguars are right there in that mix. They are part of that upper echelon. If I were ranking the top teams, the only reason to place a team like the Rams above them would be that trust factor, the established resume. I've seen McVay and Stafford do it for years. I know with certainty they are prepared to bring it. I cannot yet summon that same level of unwavering confidence for the Lawrence-Cohen duo. However, do not mistake that for skepticism or doubt about their capabilities. Those are separate sentiments. Even if they feel similar, I draw a clear distinction between them. This is why I constantly emphasize trust when evaluating these teams. I saw the Eagles play brilliantly and win a Super Bowl just last year, and yet, I don't have that trust in them now. I trust Devonta Smith individually. I trust A.J. Brown individually. I trust Jalen Hurts individually. Do I trust them all collectively, orchestrated by an offensive coordinator who has never called a playoff game? Absolutely not. Any confidence in that scenario would be manufactured. It's faith, not analysis. I'm not here to share my hopes and dreams or what I simply believe will happen. My perspective needs to be grounded in logic, reason, analysis, and observed evidence. And logically, it makes complete sense that the Jaguars can show up and compete at the highest level. You don't need to see one more monster game from Trevor to solidify that feeling. To close, let's address this week's opponent. The Indianapolis Colts with Philip Rivers are quite intriguing. Rivers dissected that 49ers defense. They would have won if not for their own defensive letdowns. So this game cannot be taken lightly. I'm genuinely excited for this matchup. I'll confess, part of me is eager to see Philip Rivers. As you know from this rant and previous videos, I believe in the Jaguars. But there's a part of me that roots for narrative and legacy. I do want to see Philip Rivers get a win. He deserves it. It's been phenomenal to watch him operate. This isn't about rooting against the Jaguars, but Rivers' performance has been incredibly impressive. I hope he's mic'd up again like he was against the 49ers. Watching him command the line pre-snap is a thing of beauty for any football nerd. That said, I anticipate the Jaguars' defense will be better equipped to handle this Colts offense than the 49ers were. Considering what Brock Purdy and that 49ers offense managed to do, it looked relatively straightforward. Granted, a key special teams turnover gifted the Colts a short field and a near-guaranteed touchdown, which skewed the game's flow. Whether it was a muffed punt or fumbled kick return, it was a mistake that immediately put Indianapolis behind the 8-ball. So, the final score might be slightly misleading. The Colts could be even more troublesome than it suggested. The point spread sits around 5.5 points. Facing Philip Rivers and a Colts team that's struggling, circling the drain, that line suggests the Colts are being given a legitimate chance. This isn't a -10 spread. It's within a touchdown. It's a healthy line, but not an extreme one. Remember, the Broncos were favored by double digits recently. This game, in my view, has two potential outcomes. Either it's a tightly contested battle that keeps you on the edge of your seat, or the Jaguars absolutely annihilate the Colts. It will be utter domination, with Trevor, Liam, and company smiling on the sideline while commentators marvel. This is the Trevor Lawrence we expected. This is why Jacksonville brought in Liam Cohen. Could he be Coach of the Year? Why isn't Trevor in the MVP conversation? The praise will be so effusive you'll need a shower afterward. So, it's either pure domination or a nail-biter. I see no middle ground. None. Complete control or a last possession game. Personally, I know which side I'm leaning towards for viewing purposes. I want the drama, the action, the high-stakes energy. I don't want a game I can half-watch. I want one that demands my full attention, where I'm locked in and analyzing every play. So, let's see what unfolds. Those are my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars? Would another monster game from him mean anything to you at this stage of the season? Should it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Whether you agree or disagree, let's spark some discussions, maybe even some friendly debates. But ultimately, let's have some fun with it. Please consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love for you to be part of it. I want to create something we all feel connected to and excited about. I think we're well on our way. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.